Hi friends, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I want to talk to you about something that seems straightforward and simple, but can be really confusing when it comes to your strength and resistance training, and that is rest periods. How long exactly should you be resting between sets? Should you be doing anything between your sets? What if you feel like it takes forever when you're resting between your sets, and what does that look like in your training? So first thing first, the first thing we have to think about when it thinks about our rest periods and how long we're resting is how long do you have to train? There are optimal periods and lengths of time that you can rest between your reps and your sets and rest time between those. But for many of us, we're not athletes. We're not trying to make the most efficient and maximize training that we can possibly ever so we can be the best at our sport. We're mostly trying to train just get a little bit stronger, gain a little bit of muscle, and just be healthier long term. So what does that look like in our training? So first things first, you need to ask yourself, how long do you need your workouts to be? Because if you need to strengthen or truncate your rest periods in order to get in and out of the gym, we can do that, but we still want to make sure that we're resting long enough. The second thing that we want to ask ourselves is, what is the goal of the exercise that we're doing? So for strength and hypertrophy, generally those main heavy compound movements, your back squats, your rows, your presses, your clean and jerks, your snatches, your deadlifts, any of your heavy work, you want to rest between 2 to 5 minutes. Obviously 5 minutes is more optimal. If you're doing max strength, max output, things that are really taxing to your central nervous system, you're trying to max out your deadlift or set a new PR, you might want to lean more towards that 5-minute rest period so you can be fully recovered. This also plays a role in recovering our phosphocreatine. Our creatine stores have more energy to produce in our lifts, but with that, we can kind of get similar benefits from that from a minimum of about 2 to 3 minutes. Now, this also applies to hypertrophy. So for strength, yes, we want longer rest periods, and this is why you get that joke of powerlifters sitting around doing nothing during their training. But even for hypertrophy, we really do want to try to elongate our rest periods if possible, so we can get more benefits and be able to do more work in each set. So remember, when you're recovering, it's not just the recovery during that matters, but also what that recovery allows you to do in your next set. So a minimum of 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes on that quick side for many of you is good, especially if you're being efficient on time. But if you're someone who cares a little bit more about your strength output, or you're doing really heavy hypertrophy work with those big heavy compounds, you might want to err on the side of getting closer to 4 to 5 minutes. My suggestion for all of you though is to time yourselves, because it's really easy for 5 minutes to pass in the gym, or 2 to 3 goes a lot more quicker than you think. We have a timer in the List Method app exactly for this reason. So again, easy rule of thumb for those heavy compounds, your main goal lifts, anything that you're doing like that is going to be about 2 to 3 minutes, or going up to 5 minutes if you have more serious strength or hypertrophy goals. Now, when it comes to our accessory work, I think a lot of people think, well, this is just accessory work. I can just kind of keep going back to back to back, but you still need to recover and, let your body do the same processes that you're doing, those big heavy compound lifts. It might just not be as taxing on your body. So I like to do a general rule of thumb of resting about 2 minutes between accessory works, or if you're doing things supersetted, so back to back to back of alternating muscle groups, doing about 60 to 90 seconds between those to allow for a little bit of rest and recovery between those reps and sets that we're doing, all between those working sets. But also, you don't need to be resting 5 minutes between everything, especially if you are supersetting, so you're kind of giving different muscle groups a break in between. They are getting more than just 60 to 90 seconds of rest during that time. So I really like that for that kind of approach, especially if you're supersetting your accessory work, which I know I do because that saves me a lot of time in the gym, kind of having that 60 to 90 second rest period. Or if you're just doing single sets of accessory work, so you're just doing one exercise, it's not quite your main heavy compounds, about 2 minutes there is what I like to do as well in my training. Now, when you're doing things like skill work, you're new to Olympic weightlifting, or you're doing speed sets, you're doing things for speed power, you're not quite doing them for heavy maximal output, that's when you can shorten that time. So going closer to 60 seconds between that. So anything for quick speed reps, if you're new to ollie lifting and you're doing skill work and you're not using weights that are quite as taxing on your body, so it's more about quick, efficient power output, you can start shortening that to about 60 seconds. And when it comes to your warm-ups, I think people probably take way more rest period than they need to do in their warm-ups. You're warming up to that movement, so you do your few minutes of cardio in the beginning, your general, whatever exercise you're doing to prepare yourself for that day. But once you're getting under the barbell, you can kind of just start with weights and taking really as much time as it takes you to load more weight or unload and reload that weight to keep doing those warm-up sets, maybe 30 to 60 seconds at most. You don't need to be resting a full 2 to 3 or 3 to 5 minutes between your warm-up sets. You can kind of get going, get warm, get under the bar, and kind of work yourself up there to that first set, and then start those longer rest periods. So to recap all that, when it comes to your rest periods during during the gym. For serious strength and hypertrophy goals, you want to be doing at least 2 minutes of rest, upwards of 5 minutes for more serious trainees who have more time in the gym, or if you're doing really heavy maximal effort work, you can go up to 5 minutes, but 2 to 3 is a pretty good spot for most people who are short on time, busy, efficient people who want to get the most out of their training. And then for accessory work, you can do about 60 to 90 seconds, depending on how you're setting that up, or upwards of 2 minutes if it's kind of a heavier accessory work done in isolation. So kind of playing in that 60-second to 2-minute range there as well. And again, you should feel when you're doing these that you need those rest periods. I know this might seem like a long period of time to be resting between sets, but when I say that you might need upwards of 5 minutes for heavier work or 2 minutes on an accessory set, if you are loading those movements heavy enough and lifting properly, you're gonna really feel like you're gonna need that rest period. And that's a really great indication to know that you're lifting heavy enough in your working sets. Same with your accessory works. Even that 60 to 90 seconds between supersets can really feel really quick over time. Now, the last question I'll answer today is, what do you do during your rest periods? And well, you rest. I know a lot of people want to do things that elevate their heart rate, sneak in some cardio, burpees or air squats or whatever it is that we got from terrible fitness information back in the day. Really, you just rest. You just hang out, sit on the bench, sit at your squat rack. You can text or scroll. You're not a bad person for doing that, but make sure you're timing yourself so you're not the jerk who's sitting on your phone for 15 minutes in between sets during the gym. Use a timer. If you're not using the List Method app, time yourself, set a little timer, keep note of the time. If you have no idea, if you're time blind like me, it'll help you kind of keep on top of yourself within your working sets. Or if you have a CrossFit type gym or box, you can use the timer, set that up so it goes off every so many minutes to do your lift, like every 5 minutes on the minute you're doing something, things like that. So you can kind of keep yourself accountable for making sure you're sticking on time and sticking to those rest periods. But otherwise, you just rest, you let your body recover, maybe walk in circles, get a sip of water, whatever it is that you want to do during that rest period you can, and then get back to lifting and get your sets done and get your workout done and get out of the gym. And that's it. So if you found this video helpful, go ahead and make sure you hit subscribe. If you want to learn more, let me know in the comments what you'd like to learn about. Otherwise, make sure you hit like on this video if you found this helpful, and I will catch you on the next one.